Welcome to DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next. The Alumni podcast where you get to hear the inspiring stories and transformation that DVC has had to offer its alumni. And now, on with the episode.
Ready. Okay. And we're live. And why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thank you for having me. My name is Gio D'Onofrio. I'm a student here at DVC. It's been about 3 years since I've been over here studying chemical engineering, looking to transfer. I tagged into UC Davis, waiting to get my acceptance right now for Berkeley. Always an option, and it'd be an exciting option as well.
Sorry to laugh, but it's like, oh yeah, I'll take UC Berkeley. That's a good option.
There's a lot of things to weigh out between when you're choosing a school. There's pros and cons on both sides for me. But worked really hard for it and tagged into Davis, so I'm really grateful for it and the opportunities that are coming.
Yeah, so that's cool, and we're gonna get to that part of it because I'm sorry to laugh and interrupt, but it's just like I'm thinking, yeah, my fallback school is UC Berkeley. It's just like, yeah, okay, but I mean, I get it, especially if you're doing chemical engineering. It's like why UC Davis would be a good option, or a good first pick, depending. So talk a little bit about, because I know when we spoke before, you talked about kind of your journey that you've been through because you were like playing soccer a lot and stuff like that. So where did you grow up?
That's right. I grew up in the area over here in Orinda. So I went to all of the elementary and middle school and high school, went to Miramonte High School. And, I graduated high school with like a 2.8 GPA. My whole life was for soccer, really. I mean, it was driving out to San Jose or to San Francisco for travel teams from Orinda. Yeah. My dad spending a lot of time driving me, taking me to games and tournaments, travel teams. So my whole life and a lot of my time was dedicated to soccer. Come out of high school, I get an offer to go out to Buffalo, New York, and I play over there for a year. I was drawn out to the location because the conference in New York was like this public conference that was really good and competitive. So I knew that if I went out to Buffalo and got good film and good experience over there, that I'd be pretty credible to transfer to a better school. So athletics was really my stepping stone to get to where I wanted to be. And come around, I played my semester over in Buffalo. It was great, got good play time as a freshman, scored a goal, got some assists, and entered the transfer portal for the NCAA, reached out to a handful of coaches, lots of schools, got a couple offers, but it ended up, when it broke down into the finances of it all, that if it wasn't a public and in-state school, I wouldn't be able to afford it. And that's where I was looking at, the CSUs and the UCs, I didn't have the prereqs to do it. And so at that time, my whole narrative and focus shifted away from sports for that past 16, 17, 18 years of dedicating myself to sports. Now it all turned into dedicating it to career and to education. And that's where I was particularly drawn into engineering because soccer for me was such a hard and competitive environment, and that I wanted to challenge myself further in the academic environment into a hard major and to have something where I could work day after day at it and become good and, really kind of get a feeling of what it's like to be in that world. And so that's where I was really drawn into engineering, was kind of because of the background I had in athletics and pushing myself and always trying to improve.
So yeah, expand on that a little bit, because I think a lot of people, they look at, I know for me being 3 times your age, but, the stereotypical jock is, they're dumb as a post and they're just all about the sports. Now, my daughters played a lot of sports and I know that they're all ripping smart. Yes. So it's but anyways, talk through how you went from soccer. I mean, I get the transition, but how you went from soccer to engineering, because that's quite a shift.
Yeah, it was, and it's funny because when I was younger and going through high school, it was always kind of this idea of, okay, I'm playing sports, school isn't really my thing. But in the back of my head, I always had this feeling of whatever I apply myself to, I know that I can do it well. And it was just that during high school, I wasn't getting the good grades because I wasn't applying myself to it.
What were you, because we talked about this before,
yes.
but that film didn't survive, but that was, I think, one of the things, because that is one of the things that I think athletics can bring to an academic career and later a regular career. Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So with soccer, it was so much time was going into it beyond practicing with the team. I mean, that's one thing, working with the team. And I feel like I learned a lot from that. And that's a whole nother thing. But outside of the team environment, if you wanted to get a leg up on people and win games or to start in the position, you needed to practice outside of the sport. And so you really learned how to like really dedicate yourself into something and see like what it takes to become successful in a certain world. Now, the engineering world is much different from an athletic world, but you could take a lot of the same lessons away from athletics of working hard and being a team player and taking time outside of school and lectures and classes and bringing it home and really diving into it there. There are so many things that you could take away from it and apply it into engineering that has really helped me transition into the field and do well also in the academic environment.
So you really took that leap of, because I know that, like while my kids were, they were pretty good at their sport, they were willing to dedicate themselves to the time to be better.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of part of what athletics can bring, if you're not gifted with, being Barry Bonds. But I mean, the thing is, Barry Bonds also dedicated a lot of his time, or Kobe Bryant, you know, it's like he was kind of a jerk to people that didn't dedicate the same amount of time as he did.
That's right.
And so it's learning to dedicate that time to your craft. So
yeah, and I feel like a big thing with athletics is like people do it because they really love the sport or something like that. I mean, there could be parental pressures for people to pursue it, but eventually it gets to a point where you're driven by your own passion for the sport. Now, for me, it was different because like going into engineering, it wasn't like I had a particular passion for the physics or the math or the chemistry involved in it. But the passion that I had was just around the difficulty and what it takes to do it. And so it's less that I'm driven by a passion for a particular subject or thing, but more towards like how it shapes you and demands from you a certain thought process and certain attitudes and habits to have to be successful in shaping my life in that really structured way and time management and, thinking about things really analytically. That, to me, this kind of broader scope of things really kind of fuels my passion into it.
So you love solving the problem.
Solving the problem.
Yeah. Okay. So it's kind of like unlocking the puzzle, solving the problem, finding the hard problem as opposed to the easy one.
That's right.
Yeah. So what are some of the hard problems that you've tackled recently? And well, I'm sure this will go way over my head, but yes. Yeah. So
the biggest problem right now for me, and I think a lot of students face, is defining internships. And ever since January, it has been taking up a majority of my time and mental space as well, because it can be a really kind of draining process. You apply to internships, you get your hopes up and you get denied. And it's kind of this whole up and down roller coaster. And that's been the biggest problem that I've been trying to solve recently is how do I break into an internship position without having a lot of background or support or help where I have people who I know in the companies who can reach out. And so there's been a lot of things that I've learned about getting internships where you not only apply to the position and send them in your resume, but also to reach out to the people at the company and to ask for, hey, can I connect with you and hear a little bit about your journey and advice you have for younger engineers and stuff like that. And so you really try to network with people at the company where you're looking to work at, hear about their projects. And that has taken me a really far way because a lot of people apply and you can apply to hundreds of internships, but if it's just your resume going out there, it could be getting dismissed by, an automated software that's looking for keywords, et cetera. So the internship and the networking and early career stuff has been, a huge problem for me. I think a lot of students face it as well. A lot of students really want it and could find a hard time connecting with people and finding the time of like, oh, this person will refer me or I'm getting this position. And the whole attitude of getting it is, a big thing for me right now for a lot of others.
So have you found that internship or you're just still on that path?
Oh, I have recently actually. Over spring break, I got a phone call and I got accepted into a company over in Ohio. They do steel producing. And it's so funny because I reached out to this company. There's this guy over there who...
Okay, so now this is something we didn't know before. So let's back up a little bit. So walk me through the whole thing. Because again, it's that soul crushing. It's like you're just yelling into the void type.
Yes. Yep. It feels like you send things out and you're just not hearing anything. Companies don't even respond sometimes to your internship. And so what I did was I knew that I had some family in Ohio and that if something came up, I could stay with my family in Ohio. So I started to apply for some internships over there and reaching out to people at the companies who are engineers or in business where I could get some business side of the perspective. And I remember reaching out to this one gentleman, his name was Steven, and telling him that I was really interested in the company, that my grandfather had worked in steel producing because he did in the Lorraine area. And so I mentioned that, my family used to be in the industry and I'm really interested in hearing about how he got it and all of this stuff. And he didn't even actually respond to me, but he sent my email forward to a hiring manager. So I never even heard back from him, but he read my email, something must have clicked with him and thought that I should send this guy along to my hiring manager. The hiring manager reaches out to me. We set up an interview and then I get the interview. We talk. The interview, it was funny because we scheduled the interview and that I thought was on the Eastern time, but they ended up calling me on the Pacific time. So I was just totally not ready for it at all. It was early in the morning and I just almost had just woken up and took this interview call. And it was really whoa, I was expecting this to be in 3 hours, So I took the interview call and I thought things went pretty okay. I prepared a little bit the night before. I didn't hear back the next week. And then a couple of days afterward, I followed up. I wasn't too confident about it because I thought if they're interested in me, that they would have reached out to me before. But I sent them a follow-up email. I said that, I'm really interested. How are things going and all of that. And then they set up another one after I followed up with them. And then after that follow-up email, I was like, okay, I'm not going to let this opportunity pass me by. If they're taking the time to interview me, they think that I'm qualified and that I'm a potential candidate. All I have to do is go in there and tell them you guys have to stop working. I'm here, I'm ready. And I can fill this position. And so that was my attitude going into it. I think that was a really big help of feeling confident in that this company is giving me the time because they think that I am qualified and because they think that I could be a potential candidate. And so I just kind of really try to push myself into that character and align myself with the company's values and all of that. And so after that second interview, they gave me a call about a week later and mentioned that, congratulations, you got the job and all that.
Nice.
It was a really exciting time.
And we'll talk about your future. I mean, I'm just super stoked because it's I know how soul crushing it is to be out there hunting and nothing but crickets, it's
Yes.
you just, and you're
Yes.
So talk a little bit about kind of how you walked yourself through that process. Cause obviously you did a ton of homework on this particular company.
Yeah.
And where did you find some of that information? Did you just go on their website or how did you find out about their values and all that stuff?
Yeah, their website shared a lot about their values and what they were looking to do. But a lot of the times, it's funny because a lot of the times it's how do you find people at the company? Well, you could go on LinkedIn and see the people who work there. But on LinkedIn, you're kind of limited with people who are inside of your network with second or third connections. And you can't message everybody on LinkedIn. You have to have some connection to them. So if you could at least see their name, there's this website, just as DVC sets up their emails where mine is my first initial, last name, and then my student ID. DVC does this, UC Berkeley does it, Oracle, Microsoft, they structure their employees' emails in a certain way. And so this website knows the structure of the company's emails, etc. So if you put in the employee's name, they will send you, or they will generate an email that they think is suitable to the company and position, etc. And so I put in the guy, Stephen Palmer's name, and then they sent me back an email that would be structured the way that this company in Cleveland does it.
Whoa. Okay. So this is a total hack. So
Yes.
I love this. So,
yeah.
So what is this website that does it?
It's called hunter.io.
Okay.
You put in the company's name and then you enter the employee and then the software would generate an email that would be structured like the company does it. And so that's how I would reach out to almost anybody if they weren't in my LinkedIn thing. Right. And I didn't even know if my email went through. The guy didn't even respond to me. He just sent it forward.
Really?
And it was really interesting. Yes.
Oh my God. See, old people, this is why you talk to young people is they know stuff. So no, I'm floored. That's awesome. That's a total hacker, total email hack. I'm going to be sharing that with my network. So
it's really interesting.
It's called hunter.io.
Hunter.io.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And so so that's how I emailed a handful of people looking for positions. And I was lucky enough to just, all it takes is to get one. And it's so funny because you feel like you're down in the slumps and then something comes up and you're way back up on top of it.
Yeah.
And it's hard to keep a cool mind and to watch the ups and downs go through. But yeah, I was so grateful for it to come through. And it just,
wow. Where did you hear about Hunter.io?
just online. Like I remember seeing a post on LinkedIn about like, just cold applying for internships isn't doing it anymore. Like you need to have more behind you to get something in, and to have somebody on the inside of the company refer you is really the best way to do it. And then they broke down a little bit of like how to reach out to people. And if you don't have their contact, that there are things out there where you can potentially get their contact for free through this like generative email. Software. Yeah, it was really cool. And it was a free software too. So I recommend any students or any.
Yeah. Are you hearing this, folks?
To do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That is amazing. Cause it's like, now it's like, we're going to spread the word. Yeah. So it's just like, I know this has become about your win here, but it's like, let's talk about it a little bit more. I mean, it's like, so when do you start on this internship?
So the internship starts on the first week of June, and they're providing me housing over there as well. Oh, wow. And so I might be staying with another intern who's traveling over to also intern at the company. And it's like 2 hours away from my family where I initially thought that I'd be staying with. Yeah. But I was really grateful that they'd offered me housing for it. And it's steel producing. So the title was a chemical engineering intern, and this steel manufacturing, really old industry. They do flat rolled steel for cars and automobiles, and they do iron pellets too. It was it's going to be a really interesting experience working in Ohio in a really old generational industry and getting kind of some hands-on experience with it.
Well, and with a lot of the stuff that's happening in the administration right now, one of the things is that that's probably going to be an industry that ramps up to some degree here in the United States. So it's like,
that's right.
And I know Ohio is, that's the Rust Belt, part of the Rust Belt. So it's just like, there's steel, there's car parts, there's all sorts of stuff over there. So it's been going for a long time.
Yeah, that's right.
So you're going to go do this, and what's beyond this? You don't know at this point, right? You're still kind of like casting about, like figuring out, okay, what does next fall look like? And
yeah, that's right. In the future, I hope to get involved with energy primarily. I feel like that is a huge driver for a lot of things, and something that with renewable energy, I feel like there's a lot of money going in, and it's important for me. I really hope to get involved with an industry that's like growing. Like steel, for example, has been pretty established, and for me to go into steel, there's a lot of things that are already set up, but to get involved in an industry that's still growing, it'd be really nice for me after 20, 30 years to see the growth of the industry as a whole. And I feel like that would make me a more valuable and skilled worker in the industry. And I would be able to have a better position and, influence more and have a greater impact within the greater sector.
Well, and it also gives you an opportunity to innovate, because it's the others, innovations coming out in the steel and things like that. But, especially if you're in like a wide open market, a wide open industry where it's just, I just think back over my lifetime, just what solar meant, because it used to be only about water. And now it's just like everything is pretty much to some degree solar powered at one point or another, and at one point, are we going to have solar powered cars where it really is solar powered? Who knows? There's some hiccups to go over that.
Right.
So you're going to go off to Ohio for summer.
For the summer.
And you're hoping to go to either UC Davis or Berkeley.
UC Davis or Berkeley, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what other exciting things are you doing in your life? I usually we go down about 5 different rabbit holes. I'm just like, wow, man, we found a great hack on how to. So when you started applying for internships, we're going to back up a little bit.
Okay.
So were you given any kind of guidance or anything, or you just kind of threw yourself into it and figured out is this like, when you were given drills in soccer and you just figured out, okay, I'm just going to make this happen? Or
right. DVC offered some good stuff, and I went to like 2 of your guys' career and development resume workshops where they talked about how to structure your resume for the position. The position gives some key responsibilities, and it's important to try to like reflect that in your resume and to use some of the words or to like try to mirror it in some ways. You don't want to lie about it, but you want to try to mold it to fit the position. information. And that was a huge help from DVC, and also the cover letters that they talked about, and you can get help and reach out to people about it. And so DVC first exposed me about what the general process was about how to do it. And then after that, I don't know how this stuff gets recommended to you on your phone, but there's so much information out there. And I ran across, just this post on social media that talked about this method of how to find something. And sure enough, it was like, wow, this seems like really cool. And like, it doesn't feel like maybe a lot of people or everybody is doing this. They're still maybe just applying. And so I feel like that might give me a leg up in it. And so it was first grown from DVC's kind of career and transfer, connecting with industry professionals, and how do you, start building your career early on. That was a really big help for me. And then after that, it took some like individual kind of thought and development of like, okay, what is my personal approach into this, and how can I make it unique to me, and how can I, stand out from other people?
So, the reason social media said is because our phones are always listening.
I know.
It's just, which is kind of creepy, but it can be good. So obviously it worked out for you.
Yeah, it did.
So I'm just really blown away, because it's like, it sounds like almost like that athletic bent of like never giving up type thing. It's kind of like being down by one goal or a run.
Yes.
And if the clock's still ticking, and it's like, no, we got this.
Right.
Having that attitude, and it sounds almost like you applied that to this whole process.
It was so funny. And I actually didn't really even think about it until now, but for athletics to go into a college, sometimes there's these tournaments where there's hundreds of teams and a bunch of colleges coming in, and like hundreds of teams have 20s of players, and they're all emailing the coaches to say, hey, come to my game, and I'm really interested in the school, and I have this GPA. And it can be really hard, again, at college conferences and showcases, to connect with a coach and to actually get them to come to your game and to watch your number play. And when I was going through the college thing, I actually founded this organization for players to print out this business card that has like a QR code that has their tournament schedule or video highlights and transcripts on it, so that instead of emailing coaches, if they saw one pass by, they could say, hi, I'm Gio, shake their hand, make a face-to-face connection, and pass along a business card that had all their information on it. And that I spent about like a year designing. I actually registered a business and like reached out to local clubs that I paid for to supply some players with the cards, so that when they go to tournaments, that they could get recruited easier. And it was this whole thing of like, how can I connect with who I want to in a better way than what is currently happening right now. And that was really awesome for me. I learned a little bit about business and marketing and how to connect with the local clubs.
So when did you do this? Because
this was my senior year of high school and first year of college. And so it was the senior year of high school. I was looking to play at colleges, and I was like, man, I'm going to these tournaments, but I'm not reaching out to, or I'm not connecting with the coaches. How can I do this? Well, the coaches are there and I can say hi to them, but what am I going to tell them my schedule and everything, and they're going to remember it? No, I need to like give them something. And so that's where this idea came from. And I wish I stuck with it more, because I feel like it's a really good idea, and maybe somebody out there will get it. And if you do, work with me, because I have some insight already.
You have all the nuts and bolts already.
Yeah.
So,
but I just don't have the time anymore to develop this like business idea. And it was a really nice time. And
so you did this in high school?
Yeah, my senior year.
Okay. Yeah. So the next question is, and this is like so are you a member of any of the clubs here at DVC?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm actually the co-president of the math club over here. And so we do a bunch of math events around different subjects. Last semester, we had guest speakers come in, some industry professionals. We connected over Kareem Tuba, who was the LastPass CEO for a cybersecurity company. It was really nice having him come on and talk about his journey, because he started off at DVC and what DVC did for him and how he applied it on later on. And it gave a lot of hope to the many computer science majors who are out there who feel maybe a little bit discouraged, but that Kareem didn't come from a Stanford or, an Ivy League school, but is in this position now coming from DVC. And I think that it was a really good experience for a lot of DVC students to hear that this is totally possible in DVC. It's not something to like disclude from your resume or your LinkedIn after you move on, but that it's actually like a great thing for so many people to upskill and to change their direction. And that he was a wonderful speaker that we had on here, and hopefully he comes onto the podcast hopefully sometime soon. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to reach out to him again.
Yeah.
I got to follow up with him. But I think you bring up a really good point in that I think some people do discount, DVC, it's only DVC. It's like, there's a lot of, like, our foundation chair, Peter Zabolis, he's, MIT grad, I think he went to Berkeley. I mean, he's got this laundry list of, and as all these companies that he's, founded and done, and he's got a scholarship here, the Diamante Scholarship that he founded, and it's like helped all the, and he only went to DVC. And, Daniel James Brown, who wrote the book Boys in the Boat, which, he's the only person I've ever met that has, he ended a conversation with Peter with, hey, I've got to go now. I'm going to go have breakfast with George Clooney. Cool. So he wrote that book that got turned into a movie. But again, he only went to DVC.
Yes.
And so I think you bring up a really good point in that DVC is part of a really great journey that can be a really great part of a legacy. And I mean, you got the innovative chops that, you started, you did this like, oh my gosh, I should solve this problem.
Right.
So yeah, you're a natural born engineer. So
well, I appreciate it. I mean, to go back on the DVC stuff, I really, I was a part of, you had Daryl Foote on this podcast previously, and he introduced me to these community advisory panels that I'm a part of. And one of the really nice things about that is we got to hear some people from LMC and from DVC, like Beth Armand, come on and talk about their programs that they offer to high school students for them to get involved. And if you're in high school, you can take advantage of so many things from this local college that would set you up amazingly. I mean, we have 2 members in the math club. One of them is in high school and the other one is in 7th grade.
Oh my gosh.
It's ridiculous that this 7th grader, her name's Anya, is here studying and joining clubs and interested in physics. And I mean, you just get such a diverse background of people coming in and collaborating. It is really wonderful to see everything that is offered. And I wish that I knew about it sooner so I could, take advantage of it, right?
I've got half of my life as I wished I'd known sooner. So is there anything else? I mean, I feel like we're at a good point. I'm still just amazed because it's just like, I mean, you were in high school and I was busy trying to date girls and you're like creating an app. And it's like, we didn't have apps back then, but but the thing is you obviously you'd love to solve that problem,
right?
Which is always a good bent to have, because then, even if you don't have that MIT background, it becomes that, hey, we'll go to Gio, man. He loves to solve problems.
Right.
So anything else you want to add?
Nothing that comes off the top of my head. I mean, I think that there is so many things available here at DVC for students who are looking to take advantage of it, and that we are in a really grateful situation, even hearing from international students and school systems, that we are so socially mobile to keep upskilling and moving ourselves forward, and that DVC is really a great place to do it all. And I'm really grateful for it. And I look forward to connecting with all my friends in the future and professors and all of that stuff. So I just appreciate this opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's been a pleasure for me. That's for sure. Well, thank you so much for being on.
Awesome.
All right.
Great.
Tuning in to DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next, the podcast for the DVC Alumni Association. You can contact us at alumni@dvc.edu with any comments, and be sure to leave a like and subscribe to our podcast.